Today we celebrate DLD Day to raise awareness for developmental language disorder, a condition which affects 1 in 14 people regardless of age, gender or ethnicity. Developmental language disorder is a type of speech, language and communication need that affects the way that children understand and use language. Participating in everyday life tasks that might seem second nature to us can cause a lot of stress and anxiety for our students who have DLD. Language underpins so much of what we do on a day-to-day basis. Everything from following a recipe to telling the time to working out the cost of an item can be overwhelming due to the often technical and complex language used. Accessing the community, including everything from buying a train ticket to catching the correct train, reading a menu in a restaurant, interacting with unfamiliar people, and finding items in a grocery store, absolutely everything relies on the use of language and communication. The unique role of occupational therapy in supporting our students' language impairment includes adapting the setting or the task, providing occupation-based intervention which is meaningful and relevant for the student, and preparing them to live as independently as possible. Budgeting and money management are vital skills for our students as they enter adulthood. Our students are unfortunately more likely than their typically developing peers to have difficulties with money management because of their language impairment. We have multiple ways of supporting our students with DLD within their occupational therapy sessions. We adapt, simplify and add visuals to recipes. We break down the language involved in using time and money. We explicitly teach them how to work out the cost of their meal and use role-play scenarios to increase their confidence when ordering in a restaurant. Travel training is a big part of increasing a student's ability to access the community and providing them with real-life, authentic and meaningful experiences to practice and hone their skills. Personalising and contextualising learning activities allows our students to become confident and independent communicators in their everyday lives. Tell me what it's like to live with developmental language disorder.
It's very frustrating because I think like one day you think you need help and the next minute you don't, but it's a very challenging thing to live with. I also think people are kind of oblivious to it. It's not like a physical disability, it's not like something that's transparent, it's incredibly opaque and you don't know, people don't really understand it, so they get perceptions and that's not the case. I think people here like myself, we struggle with it, and if people could understand and educate themselves on what it is, it would be really helpful for everyone, because then it makes the world a nicer place, and it makes a lot of people who may not be able to express their opinions as freely as myself a lot more welcoming, not as intimidating. So yeah.
How does DLD affect you in your everyday life?
I find it really hard to count money when I'm out in her screen. I find it really hard to try and figure out how much it is, and I also find it hard how long the train, what time the train is due, and also when people and it's quite hard because it's not nice and I get really nervous around people. I speak quite quietly, and I try and find ways to try and help it. So I have OT in speech.
I think DLD affects you in your everyday life.
I think it's one of those things, 1 minute you think you're fine, you're normal like everyone else, and then suddenly it hits you like a tsunami, all of these people talking, all of these different thoughts that your brain has to process, all of the tricky algorithms that you may not fully understand. It's all coming incredibly quick, and sometimes you just wish you could shut everyone down and just concentrate on yourselves and maybe relax a little bit. It affects me in the way of sometimes when people talk in description and they use long paragraphs and long sentences. It can be incredibly challenging because I don't know what they're trying to say. Sometimes if people go off a tangent, I may not fully understand it, and that can be very frustrating. It can be annoying. If people are concise and a simple message, that goes a long way. So I really think it's appreciated when people do that.